The beginning, the starting point, Vancouver, a spring's welcome, snow, quite befitting. Here we are about to start the Arctic adventure of a lifetime, well, of the moment at any rate, and well, it's snowing. As you can see, we start at Vancouver, going up through Dutch Harbour or the Aleutian Isles, up around the cross to Nome, and then through what's called the Northwest Passage. A 2-week window is now available because of global warming, and we're going to attempt it. Yeah. Once in Greenland, we'll head down the coast into the Atlantic and across to Spain, or so goes the plan. Now, most people spend years preparing for a trip like this. We had a month. Everything in the boat needed to be sorted and itemised. We needed to figure out exactly what we had, and more importantly, what we needed to get.
So you got it? One blower, 2 fans, and the extraction pipe.
Okay.
Throwing it away, you can use for any glue or any bit of paint and then throw it away.
These containers too for downstairs?
Containers are important. These containers are important. These containers, don't throw them away. These containers are very practical.
For the major work to be done, the boat had to be lifted. Not that that meant that the work finished. There is always something to do.
What is this high precision job you're doing, Chang?
Fixing the heater. Can you tell?
As soon as we were on land at Shelter Island, it was action stations. The propellers that we had on at the moment were self-pitching, and the boat lost power and drive in bad weather, so that was first priority. One had organised for the new props to be made by Osborne Propellers, and the boys were there as soon as they could, keen to get started. We only had a 10-day window. The bow thruster up the front also had its problems.
¿Sobre qué?
Sobre esta porquería que este juguete de bolsa, todo es plástico, plastiquillo, todo plástico, y todos dependemos de esta chapa que se mueve.
Meanwhile, up on deck, there were also drums.
Here we are removing the windows because the goop that the original guy in New Zealand used was crap, and he didn't do it properly, and the windows actually basically aren't held in at all. And apparently when a wave comes, it hits that, attaches itself to the window, and then sucks, which will just pop all the glasses out. Once there's no glass, water gets in, we have problems. So here we are removing every window with this horrible sticky shit, and putting new ones, well, not new ones, but new goop back in. Apart from that, we finally managed to get the props off, which was a good thing.
There was also a false ceiling for the cargo hold that had to be made to keep warmth in and the Arctic out. Marine life removal. Storage had to be organised. We needed a new jet sounder fitted.
What do you have to fix? You need a hand?
And of course charts, lots of them, both paper and digital. Then of course there was safety equipment, from harnesses to life jackets to flares. And of course medical, from surgical equipment to coughs and cold medicines, right through down to serious painkillers. On top of all that you have food, in fact enough food to feed an army of sailors to the North Pole and back for $6.
So we have 45 kilograms of pasta, 20 kilograms of beans, 25 kilograms of lentils, 60 kilograms of rice, 45 kilograms of flour, 30 kg of frozen meat. Moving on, we have cereals, Coca-Cola for people who get seasick as well, flavors and kinds for night watches, lots and lots of tahini, a whole bag full, 6 jars of pickles, some with garlic, some without. Lots of fruit salad, mixed fruit with cherries and things like that, whole tomatoes, more tomato sauce. Look at these mega bottles, they're great. Original, Rosetta Originale. 12 bottles of this stuff from New Zealand, most definitely. Who knows? This will be breakfast someday. Anyway, just a few samples from our big hoard of food that we're just beginning to stash. We have gotten about half of the goods so far. Are you sure this is the easy way to do it?
I think there's a lot of buttons. They get heavy.
They get heavy.
Yeah, I mean...
So what
2006.
happened,
2006,
he
yes.
came late here, and like when he came to Cambridge Bay, that was like a really bad ice condition, so he just moved a little bit, but he come back. He said it's too difficult. He said he's not ready to stop anywhere else, right? And he said wintering in these places, the white places, when the ice move, it's almost impossible. You have to go to the base, which they are closed and there's not much movement, and
otherwise it just pulls the ship apart.
Oh yeah, the ice could be in the winter, we don't know, they said up to 14 feet thick.
High. Thick.
Thick, right?
So the boat can be crushed.
Could be. Unless you get around it like yours, could be pushing.
Some boats are made this way that, you know, when the ice is pushing, you know, the boat
Spits
pops,
it out like
you know.
a
So,
circus.
yeah, but
like this.
the ones
You want after you go with the axe and chop it, and that every night you go and chop it. Do you like winter really? Do you like -40?
No, I don't know why we go there. Is it like
Yeah, no, it looks good.
10 days later, as promised, the props arrived. And as soon as we could get them up and on, which took a little bit of jiggling, we were up and away. But there's always a few finishing touches. Moving the boat through the boatyard itself is one of the most nerve-wracking adventures there is. So, in just 40 days we'd sorted through the entire boat, itemised and organised, sent off a shipment to Spain with excess weight, replaced the props, sealed the bow thruster shut so it didn't fall out, replaced the windows, something like 20 in total, bought and replaced the captain's bubble, fitted a new depth sounder, anti-fouled.
He's been a really big help.
Not the 23rd yet. I told you you'd get in the water.
Thank you, Ken.
And organised a host of other things, including supplies for just about any event that one could imagine. From dinghy oars to dried octopus, we were as prepared as we'd ever gonna be. The Arctic awaited.
Sailing. Well, not really sailing, motoring. We've been going for, I don't know, 3 days, something like that, towards Alaska from Canada, Vancouver, off to, well, somewhere, possibly Dutch Harbour, possibly not, maybe Kodiak, we don't really know yet. Seas have been very, very, very calm, lovely. At any rate, the height of today, we've seen nothing except a boy. That boy. We didn't know where it was from, of course. Could have been anywhere, could have been a net attached. Who knows? Very scary stuff. At any rate, we went and investigated, because that's what you do when you find things in the sea floating. We discovered there was no net, and we dragged it on board to discover crawly, creepy, freaky, aliens.
The hunter and gatherer's report? Kind of fishy.
Good morning. Well, for me anyway. These guys have been up all night. Oh, most of it.
Guys, I'm not going for movies. We're moving, we're not moving.
For the first time since we started, we actually got a bit of weather this morning. And as you can see, the boat moves, sometimes more than others, but stuff's been flying everywhere. Everything's been locked up. It's kind of cool. The engine's been turned off, that's the best thing. Finally we have silence. Sound of the waves, the wind.
Several hours later, the storm had increased, and by the time we hit the Aleutian Trench with a depth of 7,679 metres, we were coping with 6-metre waves. It wasn't the height of the wave that was the problem, it was their frequency. They came one after another, which meant that we were facing vertical walls of water breaking.
Today's practice periods will be very short, very simple and very frequent. You can use it with your eyes open at any time and any situation. Use the idea immediately should anything disturb your peace of mind.
What is this, Diego? It's not a squall, it's a low pressure system being depressed. A yucky pressure system. Somewhere in the Sea of Alaska. Gulf. Lake. Something to do with Alaska and water. I'm not quite sure what it is.
The Alaska pond.
The pond of Alaska. And we are attempting to cook dinner, lunch, breakfast, who knows these days.
Which part are we going to use, Mr. Wesgo?
I think the pressure cooker is always a wise decision.
Yes.
Simply because it has a top that does not come off. We will now rummaging. Well, here we are at last. Approaching Dutch Harbour, getting ready, pulling out the stays, pulling out the ropes, the things, the hangy bits, all the boat stuff that you need. Oh yeah, it's a brisk, I don't know, 5 degrees, but it's not snowing, and it's one of the, what is it? 3 non-foggy days they get a month come summer. 4 Louisa says. Diego's enjoying himself. He can't wait for them to turn the motor off. Finally, peace at last. Peace at last. Yes. Hey, look. One's back in the wheelhouse. And anyway, yes. Mountains, yes, they are cold, windswept, miserable. We were just commenting, why? Why would anyone ever live here? How did this area ever begin to be populated? What were they thinking? And more importantly, who was chasing them? Anyway, Louise is getting to, oh, hang on. Look, this is where we keep the boys. Well, this is where we keep Diego, and he's a boy. But hey, what can you say? Alaska.
Dutch Harbour is the main port in the Aleutian Island chain, gateway to the Bering Sea and some of the richest fishing grounds in the world. This is a dangerous area and human life is often lost, so the community itself is very tight and we immediately made friends.
Until you are safe, don't jump. Don't jump until you feel safe. Come on, come on, come on.
Mexico.
Who are you going to that? We told. You want me to?
This is really.
Welcome aboard!
You may be a good help with the dinghy.
We've just very nicely been given a picture of the ice charts. A, B, well, I don't know, ice. And it looks like it goes from here up to here, but it doesn't. They're categorised. A is open, so this is open ice, I think. This is obviously B, the shore fast, which is not a slow shore, but very quick shore, fast shore. C is Ni Ying. D is Ying Flinen. E is Flying in. F is Flying Ifm. And it goes down to Fimful Foot Old and Fimful Foot Young and Fimful Young and Fimful Fum. So the ice shade's great, but we have no idea what it actually says.
What is that?
This?
Mm-hmm.
This is the crap cutter.
There was also wet weather gear to be organised, along with a stowing rack. A water-saving device, which the captain said left you feeling fresh and a little fruity. We also fitted an extraction fan, complete with the raid box. And survival suits in case of emergency, because in these areas you need to be wearing one. You'll probably last about 2 minutes without.
Can you do the haka in that? One. Guys, come on, give me the haka.
But the major work in Dutch was once again windows. One had discovered that our 4 windows didn't nearly have a large enough lip and weren't bolted in. So in the case of a frontal wave, we were going to be in trouble.
It's kind of cozy in here.
Hey, where are those plastic screws, Luke? We need about 20 in just a minute.
Yeah.
I've wrapped 30. I already gave you 20. Have you used them all already?
Is that all?
I gave you 30 already.
Yeah, we need 50.
I know.
Yeah,
I haven't
the same.
finished.
Well, we need them.
Go,
It's the face of an agitated man.
Look, if you want to be a
Sweet
goopy, if you
agitated
want to
don't
be a
want to be
goopy,
lynched, you go make the screws.
if you want to be a goopy, you have to bring screws.
A goopy.
I think Lo was really proud of these scouts.
So here we are on deck. Nina's busy cleaning the rest of the windows. Just make sure they are perfect, because they will be sealed in with the next window. Voila!
The new windows, perfect. On top of all this, Nina had decided that food was just a little low. So once again, we stocked up.
Hay cebollas. Lombardas no, repollos.
Con frijoles. Vamos a comer frijoles nosotros.
What are they? Más frijoles blancos.
Más frijoles. Mucho más frijoles.
Of course, all of this food then needed to be stored. So we made the cabin in the bow the cool room, which meant that Diego had to sleep underneath the flying dinghy. And yes, I did say flying dinghy. But that's another story altogether. We were in Dutch. There was no time for joyrides. This was work, and everyone else was doing it too. And it was really nice to be a part of. Everyone was being about their business, getting ready for the season, finishing up their season. It was always busy. The cab driver alone worked an 18-hour day, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, finishing at 3 o'clock at night. But some of the most amazing people we met were the Magones. Truly the salt of the earth.
And that was a nice swim, you say?
That's it. It's warm this time of year.
You no wonder you look as healthy as a Buddhist. They train getting up at 5 in the morning, I think.
And dinner was beautiful.
And you just had it pinned to the ground, right? So we're all, wow, that was really cool.
Yeah, it's open tomorrow from 2:30 to 6. How keeps on trying it with this spatula, ruining the flames?
And we just ask you to be with us in the hours ahead in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
Yes.
Now who's gonna dance?
All right. I think we'll what happens if you don't show up?
soap derby.
Say again?
Juanilla! Juanilla!
Ale. You're telling me? I know what you mean. It's
Get
like,
your hips close. It saves you a lot of energy. So they continuously go out. But you look at that, and you'd never believe that it would go out without tangling.
I wouldn't.
And they don't. Well, I mean, Bob, I've been doing it for 17 years. Bob, been doing it for 20 years. I mean, we've done it a long time. Springtime in Alaska, out on the fishing grounds. We're sailing gear, bait hooks, with seagulls flying around. Yeah, the radio's blaring 50. Peggy says it's looking mean. We're still in our old skins, sitting gear like you never seen. Bruno thinks we're crazy. Lossie smiles, says we're nuts. Skipper says, boys, we're here to catch halibut. Whale fishing in the Barren Sea, just a crew on in me. On the sand.
But with all the work done, we got underway.
The little critters that you ate are still all here and alive. Well, not alive, but they're still here. Fossilized. It's just gone 3 o'clock in the morning, night watch. On the tail end of the Dutch Harbour to Nome stretch. As you can see, it's still pretty light. Nome in the distance, about, I don't know, 4 hours off, maybe 5 hours off. We should be there for breakfast. Pancakes. Royce are inside. She's staying up watching. Here's one. He's been riding. And then, yeah, back to daylight, I guess. Anyway, I'm hungry and a bit tired.
Nome is home of the world's largest gold pan. It's also the main port of Western Alaska, completely isolated other than by air or water.
You're in Nome, and that beach right over there, this spring there was a good little mini gold rush of the shovelers.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, right.
Noodlers got gold?
Yeah, right past where this dredge is pumping all the stuff. And there were a whole line of sluice boxes there and guys shoveling in. The winter storms, you know, enrich the beach a little bit.
Oh really? It washes the gold up?
Yeah, the big storms kind of blow it up.
I'm so torn now. Where do I live?
But if you get a gold pan, you get a surprising nice little crescent of colors off any of that stuff over where those rocks start.
Really?
Right where there's a bunch of people camping and you'll see them shoveling over there.
Enough of the chit chat already. We had ice sticks to make, maintenance as usual, and navigational problems.
Computer bad. We have problems. Yes?
Yes.
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 The problems are
Bad.
bad. Will we survive?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, they're not that bad then.
No.
We have program problems?
Yes.
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 And we're starting all over again?
Yes.
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 Excellent.
Well, the weatherman told me that the current here was 7 knots in this direction. And if I go 20 miles south, the current will be 7 knots on this direction.
I don't think that's accurate. I think it's possible to have 7 knots with certain circumstance, but it's not normal. Out in the strait here, with the high pressure on one side and low pressure on the other side, you could have 7 knots. And I've seen standing waves in the ocean right off of the Diomedes. That's interesting.
What?
A standing wave?
Yeah, standing wave, yes. This.
Like in a river,
Yeah,
right.
standing.
When you see that in the ocean, that's real exciting.
Yeah, and scary.
Mm-hmm. But it's only next to the island. It's only when you have a high pressure on one end and a low pressure on the other end. And it's actually I watched one for 2 days.
It's fine. 5-minute rule. Oh. So carnivorous.
We'd been at Nome for 2 weeks simply because the channel was not yet opened. But as soon as we had word that that was starting to change, we were off. The weather report advised of a storm front coming through, so we popped into the last little haven before the run up to Point Barrow. Inside the bay, it was as peaceful as you could get.
That was cold,
Rounding Cape Lisbon, we came across a bit of a problem. There was a rip in the sail, and rips in sails, not so good for sailing. So it was Team Armadillo to the rescue. Everyone pitched in, patches were made, and Diego was the one that was elected to go up the mast to do the repairs. What was actually required was that the slit itself be cleaned up, contact glue applied. Ah, love that contact glue. Good for absolutely everything. And a patch applied to both sides. Once this was done and everything was given the A-OK, Mo was sent up the mast to fix the problem. Of course, with the trusty tool, a hammer. Fixes absolutely everything. Other than this small drama, the weather was beautiful, and the depth sounder had shown up something interesting. Fish. So Louisa got all the stuff out and got very, very excited.
It looks like my jewelry box. I'm sure there's some homemade lures here somewhere.
It's so early.
Can you give me a hand here and choose out the vintage for me? There it is. You'll remember that one. What a mess! El pelo, la decoración de pelo. Mamás verdes, actually.
So other than that, it was, I guess, business as usual. Books to read, sunsets to sail into. The Arctic at its finest. Rounding Cape Barrow brought another scene altogether. The nature channel had changed, and we had ice. The edge of the ice pack, in fact. At this point north, it was solid, there was a small window of opportunity that we weaved through to get, well, into the Northwest Passage itself. But everyone was on duty because an accident here was, well, a big thing. Looked quite something on the radar too. But as we passed Point Barrow, the ice started to thin out and gave way to open waters. Of course, this by no means meant we were off the hook, and a roster was drawn up for everyone to share. We did 4 hours on, 8 hours off, 2 people at a time, at all times. Although the open water was great, it's also sad too to some extent. The channel used to be about 15 miles wide. It's now about 300, which causes quite a havoc for the native polar bear. They subsist 90% on seals, and without ice, they can't hunt. And without food, they don't survive. Other than that, for the most part, it was just plain sailing. One chuckle after another. The weather flat, calm, beautiful, sunny.
Like the aristocratic breakfast. Aristocratic, yeah. He's like the king here. Sneaky. Affirmative. In the big Coast Guard radio, Amodinho. That's affirmative.
We sailed into Tuktoyaktuk literally 2 hours before a 40-knot wind hit the bay. Tuk is the drop-off point and petroleum distribution hub for all the northern Arctic settlements, and the gateway to the Pingo National Park. We tied up to Nunavut, one of the NTCL tugs. This was the distribution company's headquarters. Joe in particular was very keen to tell us all about the area.
Well, we do Tuck, Sachs Harbour, Holman, Polituck, Kaplucktuck, Cambridge Bay, Joe Haven. We were frozen out there all winter as well. This boat, 2 other company boats.
Whoa.
One of the gold mines over in the south of Cambridge Bay, there was 2 boats in Cambridge Bay. The ice was through. We're not even supposed to be out on that Beaufort or once in anywhere after the 1st of October. But we were so far behind delivery and they kept us going, so we couldn't get back. But that's happened numerous times. We've been frozen out there.
Well, with 5 or 6 people making noise, that's...
We'll be good. I think we have enough people to make noise. We're pretty loud anyway.
Yeah.
When we all get talking at the same time. You know,
if the bear really comes and hit the bear on the nose with a stick, and they've got all the cartilage on inside their nose.
Oh yes.
And that's where the worst part, when you hit them, they don't like. As soon as when you hit them, they could jump down to the water and run away.
Well, you have to have good aim, because if you miss...
Mama's worried about her.
I have very bad aim.
So hopefully we never have to hit a polar bear.
Facing his face coming right out to you. If he opened his mouth and if the bear is right up here, never put your arm this way.
Because he'll just...
Yeah, cat, they'll bite here. Put it this way. Cat, the bear wouldn't bite it from here to here.
Oh.
And if the bear is tilting wherever he tried to bite you, wherever the bear is tilting his head, always follow him where he tilts his head with open mouth. Huh. If the other person next to you, they know that you need help, they hit the bear on the nose.
Right.
And wherever the bear is moving his head, just follow your elbow like that.
Oh, okay. What's the defenses? Okay.
Yeah, you can.
And if he puts his head to the side?
Yeah,
to put it again?
Turn this way. Never put it this way. Always aiming his
Make
head
him
like
open
that.
up really wide, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if his mouth is wider than that, then I have a problem.
Yeah, if you put your elbow this way, too wide for him to open from here to here. Yeah, that's where you have to follow his head, where he's tilting his head to.
I hope I don't have to try that.
If you carry like a big thick stick and just
Then you can just put the stick in front.
No, hit it on his nose.
Have you ever seen a baby polar bear?
Yeah, polar bear cubs, yeah.
Oh.
Don't ever play with them when your mother's around.
Apart from the stories, there was more maintenance to do. Always domestics. And also a chance to phone home and call the loved ones. There was also the waterfront, trolley parking, the dead centre of town, Hotel Tuck, Pingo Park Lodge, the old and the new, satellite included. We also found Armadillo's sister ship. There was Spuggy, logs, and dogs. This one in particular, Louisa had quite a conversation with.
What are you trying to tell me? And what do you have to say about climate change?
But by far the most interesting conversation was with the ice road man.
An ice road is basically where you're driving on the ocean or any body of water that's frozen.
Oh.
And it's 186 kilometers long, right from Tuck, right into the shores of Inuit.
Whoa.
And the road goes on the river, or it goes on?
You got 36 kilometers of ice road that's on the ocean or the Beaufort Sea.
Yep.
And then you've got the rest of it on the Mackenzie River.
She's gonna pee on the tripod.
And it's 100 feet wide, anywhere from 100 to 150 feet wide.
guy at the supermarket was saying that he thought that this was getting a lot warmer here in winter, and that it was...
A lot of
Since
people I've been here, the winters have been getting warmer.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's in some areas it's not as safe as it was to go out.
You just have to wait longer.
Oh, okay.
Wait till the ice thickens up longer.
Meanwhile, back at the boat, the Barramilla had turned up, and Alex was having some problems with her propeller's pitch. But fortunately, they were adjustable, so it was Almadino's boys to the rescue, and a good excuse to pull out all the diving equipment. With a water temperature of 2 degrees Celsius, the dry suit that we'd picked up in Vancouver was about to come in handy. But they say all's well that ends well, and everything went according to plan, no hiccups. So they were off and we were off shortly afterwards. Off into the Arctic unknown. On leaving Tuk, we also got a good opportunity to check out the pingos. Now, I'm not quite sure whether this is split pingo, triple pingo, bear pingo, or porcupine pingo, but it is a pingo nonetheless, and not an ognip.
Finally got all the sails up, and Juan just before he went to bed said it'd be nice if we had a bit of sunshine, and as soon as he got in bed we got it. It's excellent. Amazing to think that this was all covered in ice till not so long ago, and that we're going between these two little islands because it's one of the only paths that's been surveyed.
Cambridge Bay, our best view.
Jolly good.
Outside the window,
A second best.
oh, we can see a little bit, but not much. And to my right,
Look, Mama can see something.
we have Diego driving. We have Mama watching through binoculars. Oh, wow, there she is. And we have Luisa. Now give me your best rehearsed line. Remember, it has to be rehearsed.
I was trying to find Cambridge Bay.
I spy with my little eye something beginning with dry. Cambridge Bay. A visitor's welcome. Oh, the fanfare, the streamers, the bleakness, the dust. We've arrived, and so have the locals in force. As you can see, they're everywhere.
So we went exploring.
Ah, the telltale signs of life. Motorbikes and dead things. Putt-putt golf.
The Mounties. the visitors centre.
He's big, huh?
The airport.
Moo.
The community. The schoolyard. The swimming hole. The local drag.
So here we are, Cambridge Bay, the end of the earth. Well, not as far as KFC or Pizza Hut are concerned. And taxi service. Fast food with style. Run away.
But it wasn't all fun and games, recreation. There was work to be done.
This one cut, basically is cut in such a shape.
Oh, it gets sewed into here?
Yeah.
Just on top of the stitch?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Scrub. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Personally, what I think is going to happen this year is, like, I'm planning on leaving Sunday. It'll take me 3-4 days to get to Joe Haven. And if it's clear on this side of King William Island enough, I might go up that side. I don't know. If I do that, I'm risking getting stuck. Because if the north wind comes, it'll blow the ice down that side, or if it blows out of the west. Yeah.
So then what, you're going to
Anyway.
flip the coin or what?
Well, yeah, I'll just have to wait and see how I feel. see how insane I feel that morning when I get up.
The passage in itself is a whole history.
Yeah.
It's full of history.
Well, yeah. That's
people with obsession.
Basically, the history, as far as I'm concerned, is here east. Because the Franklin expedition, 129 people died on that.
Yeah.
But the channel was open, and we really needed to get moving. One didn't want to be caught in the Atlantic any time after September, and we had a lot of miles still to go.
The magnetic compass is useless in Queen Mode Golf.
Exploring, expeditioning, exposed.
Hey, we claimed this iceberg first.
It's only a little. It'll be melted by the morning.
Joahaven, the finest little harbour in the world according to Roald Amundsen, and many of his descendants who still lived there. But it was also quite shallow, and the depth sounder started freaking out. So we sent Diego up the mast to check it out.
Come in, Eagle Eyes. I was just wondering how it's looking up there from the crow's nest position, all in favour of good anchorage.
Yeah, a little bit close to the windward shore, but other than that, it seems pretty good.
Once on land, we got a guided tour by the locals.
You don't agree, yeah?
And they were great. They took us to the local markets, showed us the maps, the museum, the rec centre, situated at the feet of Jesus. And I must say, it was really nice to see him for once off the cross. Then of course there was the locals themselves.
So do you travel around a lot? Yeah? How do you travel? On the scooters?
On a boat, skidoo, Honda. You can't go by car.
Doesn't work so good.
No roads.
Do they make ice roads in the winter then?
No.
No, they don't make them.
So snowmobile?
Yeah.
So lots of hunting or?
Yeah. I gotta go check my nets after.
Oh really?
You fish it first.
Behind you.
Is this Arctic
char?
Char?
Arctic char, eh?
It's supposed to be very good fish.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry? Seven.
So, you pulled the char out this morning?
Yeah, about 45 minutes ago.
About four.
half hour ago.
And which are the sweetest?
I'd say the smaller ones.
The smaller ones?
They're the good eating.
Yeah.
Okay.
They might fit in your barbecue.
Yeah.
I see you really didn't talk to the captain.
Because some of these are huge, as you can see.
Oh my mother mia.
That's a big fish.
Did they find a lot?
Is this caribou? What sort of meat is this?
I can't hear my little caribou.
For the caribou? For the winter?
Two.
Two?
Wow. Is it good?
It's caribou meat.
It's caribou meat. How long does it take to dry? Did you cut it?
But let's try one in my face.
Louisa, who are your friends and what are you making?
Well,
Seal. The seal.
yeah.
A seal!
It's a sand, what is it guys?
Seal.
Sand seal.
Yeah, it's a sand carving a seal.
Sand carving a seal.
I mean, it's a sand seal that we made by carving.
And what's the Inuit word for seal?
Nutja.
Nutja.
Yeah. Okay, well, everyone does a handstand and see who can stay up the longest. You ready? Set. Go. Everyone.
So scary.
This kid is really good.
He's really good. Wow, he can walk. Holding. Good. You're cold. You need to wear a jacket.
But sadly, once again, it was goodbye time. And, well, goodbye, Joehaven.
Oh, but I thought that I would show you a little bit of sailing conditions because because they're beautiful, and it seems a bit ironic that the place where we thought we would have absolutely no sunlight and no sailing conditions is the darn place where we ended up having barbecues and running on the beach barefoot in Haven and sailing at 7.5 knots for miles and miles and days and nights, and well, not that many days and nights, but still enough to make me happy. Probably all of us pretty happy.
And boy, the preferred route past this shoal is at least shallow depth of 2 fathoms. These close to the east side of the narrow part of the entrance.
Right.
So it means that we have to go east of that. East of the beacon.
Probably means that the spit extends in the water despite some of the...
Yeah, there's a little dotted line.
There's a 1 fathom line.
But for the most part, Spence Bay or Tallyoak to the locals meant Simon to us.
What I saw in the soapstone, before I carved it, I look at the soapstone, and then I see a man drum dancing, and then I start making the drummer. I usually look at a rock and try to see what I see in there.
Yeah.
And whatever I see comes out. Maybe a hunter, maybe an animal, or I don't know.
So the rock has like a live being inside it. It's fun.
For me, that's...
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes when I have hard time, if I can't see what's in there, it's like the soapstones start breaking, cracking, but...
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
So is there ever a piece of stone that changes? Like one moment you see one thing and then halfway through maybe you change your mind?
Yeah, sometimes I do that. Just that, yeah. At the last minute, it starts being a hunter or a drummer.
Yeah.
So how does a drum dance work?
Usually there's 2 ladies singing.
There's 2 ladies singing?
1 drum dancer. Or sometimes there's 2 drum dancers, but usually just 1 drum dancer.
Does this kind of thing matter, or?
Usually if they're following the beat and the singer, and if their body's moving with the drum or the singer.
And
from here to get to there, so you won't lost. And there's some that you put some out where there's a good fishing spot, and you put it right beside the shore, and people would know that's a good fishing spot.
Okay.
And you put some on the hills, so that if you see caribou, you start running after them and they're going to meet people.
Oh, really?
And then, but they run to the ocean.
Ah, so you use them as extra people when you don't have enough?
Yeah.
That's smart.
And then they run to the ocean, you go follow them, you go on the kayak, you follow them on the ocean and you speed the heart. Because we can't run with them on land.
Yeah.
Ah, of course. They go into the water for protection.
Yeah. And then
and then you're quicker than them. Ah, that makes sense.
There's a caribou blind here. Did you see it?
No.
The pile of rocks like a wall.
Yeah.
Going up a hill.
Okay.
And there's 2 of them people go in there.
Okay.
And then the caribou go there. But they let the first ones go, so the other ones could follow.
Yeah.
And it's really narrow where they go by. There's people there, there's people here. And they go by, you speed the heart. But they don't go far, they die. You speed some more there. And then that's how you catch caribou.
Okay.
You skin them and you bury them for the winter.
You bury them for the winter?
Why?
So they won't
because we got a lot of meat, but we can't just let them sit there. They're gonna rot.
Yeah.
So we bury them and they stay good all year.
Huh.
Same with fish, we bury them too.
Not buried like with rocks.
Like,
not underground like
not
this.
underground.
Ah, not underground.
We use rocks. We eat raw seal meat, caribou, fish, muskrat and polar bear. We usually whale meat. We eat some meat raw, but we don't eat the meat, just the skin.
Yeah. You want some?
And sometimes we mix country food with store-bought food like vegetables or onions.
Normally, traditionally, do you have much?
Fusion.
You wouldn't have much vegetables in winter because
No. When they come in by plane, that's when we get fresh.
How come you have two names? Yes, an English name and an initiative name.
My name is, that's my name, but the government wants to know me. So,
Seriously?
so they name us English names to it back in the 60s.
Because they can't pronounce.
I don't know.
Oh, really? The only reason that you have English names is for government reason?
Yeah.
They used to have
Back in
numbers.
the day, back in the 60s.
I did the same thing in Japan.
First, we used to have numbers.
You just know by name number 7634.
Yeah, they used to do that, yeah.
And
That's
this is carving
terrible.
number.
See the line of currents? See?
Yeah.
What?
I see the line.
It's current.
With sailing underway, day very quickly turned into fog. The thickest fog we'd seen thus far, and we were not alone.
The name of your vessel, over.
This is the vessel Southern Star, Sierra, Oscar Uniform, Tango, Hotel, Echo, Romeo, November, and Star, like a star, over.
Oh, Roger. Southern Star. I am 2 miles 23 to the coast, and we are on head on. Okay, I will go to starboard, your east.
Roger, we copy that. Okay, Mourinho, have a safe trip and all the best for you.
The following morning brought with it scenes that, well, words will never be able to describe. Just beautiful. We also came across Peter from Tahina, the Australian boat making the crossing from the other direction. He gave us a rundown on what we were to expect up ahead.
You want to put the bow on the stern there?
Yeah, I'm sleeping to do that. It's going to get colder. Like I've been listening to you guys talking about 15 degrees and stuff at Joa, and
it's been incredibly hot.
Yeah, we that day we had snow. We all day, and it was just melting on the boat. And we thought, oh wow, that's really cool. And then as we left that little anchorage, we looked up on the hills, and they were all covered with snow, like down to I don't know, 100 feet sort of thing.
Wow.
And we went. Time we got moving. Yeah. So.
But back to the ice we went.
said earlier that maybe I thought that they filmed Dune here, the movie.
Who?
Dune.
But someone spoke too soon. The bears skedaddled. And what do you do to attract them back? You fry up some bacon. But the only thing that we seemed to attract was a raft of birds. But yet again, someone spoke too soon.
Has he been fishing? Is it the male bear?
Peel Sound. Breathtakingly beautiful, if we could see it. Unfortunately, today is, well, a fog day. So, this is our view. Although you can imagine, if you want, basically anything. Yeah. But make sure it's polar.
At the top of Peel Sound we had snow, and that meant snowball fights. And building snowmen. Lancaster Sound brought with it our first real tastes of bergy bits. These were shadows of icebergs and had a particular blueness to them, which was quite something to see.
What do you think of icebergs in general? What are your thoughts so far?
I like the pointy ones, and I like the blue ones, and I like the ones with holes in them. Flat ones are a little bit boring.
Also, Christmas for the deck. Go on. Deck is cold as well. It is what it is. It's not quite as simple as I see.
Towards the middle of Lancaster Sound, we came across our first iceberg, the first of what was to be many, many, many. And they really were all unique and all, well, large. 40 knot plus winds were forecast, so we decided to stop into Tay Bay for a rest, a breather, and to allow the storm to pass. Inside the bay, as you can see, it was quiet. Just us and nature. Of course, once the work was done, we went exploring as usual. Going around Violet Island was our first taste of glacial country, and just looking at them made you feel, well, glacial. From here we left the protection of the mainland and headed out across Baffin Bay for Greenland. Ice was not the only thing on the menu. Nina had cooked a Subri pie, which everyone found most delicious.
Seven weeks later after purchase, the cabbages have dried out. We started to lose the onions as well. How are we going to eat this? Chili pepper. Always does the trick.
Although the food problems didn't seem to stop Louisa from picking out all the chocolate bits from the trail mix and harassing Diego.
String. Glorious string. Don't care what it's used for. Fixing motors and making harnesses. Tying up buckets and dinghies. You can use it for anything except for what rhymes with things? Well, thanks for your help, Diego.
¿Dónde está? G-I-E-S-E-C-K-E-S. Yesekex. Yesekex. Yesekex, tío. Yesekex. 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 Isfjord. Yesekex Isfjord.
Ah, lo encontré. Settlement situated within the north entrance point of the bay.
North entrance point of the bay.
Yes, it was A-Star settlement. Y entonces el outer anchorage is 1 mile southeast of the settlement.
South
east of a river in the southeast part. In 15 to 30 meters, good holding ground, clay bottom.
Try and get my first approach and see if it is no difference.
And there's, just before you get to this dock, there's a fjord which goes around the island that
Finally we reached Greenland. Upernavik to be exact. This was the largest town on the northwest coast of Greenland. We came across people, of course, and Bird Island. Dogs, Dog Island. And speedboats. No one was rowing. We of course went exploring, stretch our legs, get off the boat and find out what Greenland had to offer.
Whoa! See? Good time, good time! Hello! Oh, he's so cute. They're huge. Eyes are huge.
If I lived here, even though I still feel like vomiting, I would still eat the seal. Look, I feel bad in my tummy. But I don't feel vegetarian at all. What about you?
Well, there's no such thing as death. What's wrong with eating seal? As long as you do it with all the love in the universe. You skin it like it was your grandmother.
What? Damn it, Dave off.
No. I mean, you talk about that guy that we've just met, the airport thing, and he was a really soft, gentle guy, and his favourite thing was to take his 12 dogs out. Not killing. It's being, and that was just, you know, that was existence to him, and he couldn't think of a nicer thing, and there was no cruelty, there was no, you know, oh, I'm a hunter, oh, I'm gonna kill, you know, it wasn't that at all. It was actually a very spiritual experience for him.
Back at the boat we came across what we thought was a very suspicious looking iceberg, so we tried to shoo it away with a dinghy. That didn't work, so we left. From the downstairs window, otherwise known as the nature channel, today's viewing was waves. While upstairs, it was a little more hands-on. After a long night, we finally found anchorage, so the next day was a day of rest. Each of us taking our own silent moments, throwing stones, watching waterfalls, soaking in the Japanese garden experience in Greenland. The following day we upped anchor and headed forth into the interior fjordland regions of Greenland. And that really does have to be seen to be believed. Any amount of film or photos will never do it justice. The closer to the glacier we got, the thicker the ice seemed to get, so Mo went up the mast for a game of I Spy. Once we'd positioned ourselves about as close as we thought was safe, the boys decided to go for a paddle. But that didn't work so well. So we returned to the boat for the conga.
Conga, de Jalisco, ahí viene, caminando. La conga de Jalisco, ahí viene, caminando. Nada más.
It went.
Amazing. But darkness started to fall and the ice started to close in, so it was time that we busted a move. And you always need a little help from your friends. Quack, quack. The following morning we were out of the ice and back into human territory. And it was kind of nice to see people running around, speedboats, fishing, just Greenland at its best.
Santa, anybody finish it? Throw the mic.
On that point there. Yeah. What's there? Is it a town or no?
No. It's a desert.
A desert?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
In the middle of.
How unexpected.
Yeah. Dog sleds.
Dog sleds?
Yeah.
Ah, races around the island.
Ice golf.
Oh really? Ice golf? Seriously?
Yeah.
How do you see the white ball in
the
See? It is too. Ice and slice.
Anything that you want? What about the Havre Green?
There's lots of stuff that I want. There's not much that I can
What's
pronounce.
that? Havre Green?
It's Havre Green.
Show me.
Everyone knows what Havre Green is. It's green and you have to have it.
What about
Oh look! Oriental cocoa smale. I love cocoa smale. Cocoa smale feels really good stuff.
It's my favorite. It makes me smile.
Smile. Ah, look. Asparagus snitter. Snitters. I've always been a snitter fan. How's it going? Speak English? No. Not at all. Very good. Do you have any seal?
Umanak is right in the middle of glacial country. In fact, they have a chain running across the entrance to the harbour to stop the big ones from coming in. It's also a major hub for Greenland's tourism industry. A lot of people like to see big bits of ice. The next port was Godshaven, and the thing we most needed was diesel. Although that didn't mean we didn't get water as well. Godshaven is one of Greenland's biggest fishing ports.
You release from here to get a pull. No, no, it releases like that. It releases by itself. Yeah, I understand. And then this thing gets loose. get loose and gets inside the whale, and then you pull from here.
Yes.
And it catches the skin, the flesh.
Yes.
It doesn't break it.
No.
Yeah. Good.
And also a haven for the national dog sledding community.
How many reindeer is this? 1, 4, 8 reindeer. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Once again, to avoid some weather, we popped into a tiny little bay, and this would be our last Greenland stop. The home of an old abandoned whaling station, and Bob, the bird. Sailing life, of course, never meant that anything else stopped. On this occasion, it was Big D's birthday. His present? The Northern Lights. What else could you ask for? This part of the journey was a particularly tricky one, and the captain was really nervous. We had a hurricane down knocking Cuba and a continual array, or spray I should say, of low pressure systems coming from the Labrador coast. This was perfect storm territory, and we were right in that window. But when we got our chance, we took it and went for it as fast as we could. We weren't the only ones obviously trying to dodge the weather. We had company from a hawk trying to get away from the wind. Other than that, there was always work, or for some people, sleeping to be done. Boat life continued as usual.
Falling down. Actually, just follow the words.
But it doesn't have a screwdriver. How many slabs can you chop?
What did you call it? Squeegee amorphous substance.
A squidgely amorphous substance. Hay una chance para mí de hacer un capricho o algo. Sí.
And finally, halfway across the Atlantic, 4+ months later, Sweet Pea caught her fish.
Well, I was losing its travel anyway. It's not funny if I lost it.
The other two had inside themselves.
How the heck are you going to do this, man?
Take a look. Right, from behind, from behind.
Okay,
From behind. Right there.
Okay, we've got the weight there.
Right there.
Whoa!
My neck.
Whoa! Sorry, fish. I'm sorry, fish. Thank you.
Okay, nice.
Thank you. Wow.
Bring it up.
What kind of fin is it? Is it a yellowfin?
Yes, it's a yellowfin.
Wow, a yellowfin.
What a pretty little fish.
And we got no freezer space. Look at all three freezer I got.
Focusing fish.
Don't forget to be giving tuna.
We have to thank the soul.
Why not?
Yeah, hold on, yeah.
Oh! For the blood, you're gonna get all blood in it. You don't hold it like that. You're gonna get full of blood.
This is an excellent thing to do.
That's stupid thing to do.
No, it's not. I held him still.
I don't know if I got that on video or not. I think I was too busy freaking out.
There's no fish blood anywhere.
I was.
Try to get one there because if those got it in the wrong place, then it's really hard to get to that. So you try to get as close to the base as you can. You can't go jumping inside the middle. Right at the base. Well, that's the best way to do that one. So you realise that now as vegetarians we can never respect ourselves ever again. It's better than eating burnt meat.
Shane, how's it going?
There is no death, the Son of God is free.
And harvesting such a beast went well into the night. But apart from that, sailing life continued. Day turned into night. Night back into day. One weather pattern would come, another go. Everyone taking their watch. The day would change, and yet always stayed the same. Waves coming. Waves going. But before you knew it, we'd reached Cape Finisterre, the outermost point of Spain. Land ahead.
I'm Bruce Lee.
And it was fun to see all the fishing boats out, with all the birds, Spanish coastline, civilization. We'd done everything that we'd come to do. We'd passed the test, I guess you'd say. But then again, that's not really true. For any of us, I don't think the journey was ever about the Northwest Passage. It's only ever about seeing what's inside yourself and going beyond it, continuously. And in that sense, the journey is never over. It's only ever just beginning. Yeah, we pulled out the stops, the boys got ready for anchor, got ready for shore. But somewhere I think we're always doing that. That's life. Seeing and going beyond. I think for all of us the destination is always the hand that we might get to hold, the smile that we might get to see, the life that we might allow ourselves to live. It's the breath in breathing, the warmth of the sun, the chill of the moon, the remembrance, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to know and be the love that we are. Always. Always.
There's a black tinted sunset with the prettiest of skies. Lay back, rest your head on my thighs. There is some awful action that just breathes from my hand, just breaths from a deed so exquisitely grand. And you're always on my mind, and you're always on my mind, and you're always along my mind, and you're always along my mind. Well, I would not have moved if I knew you were here. It's some special action with motives unclear. Now you'll haunt me, till I've paid for what I've done. It's a payment which precludes the having of fun. And you're always on my mind, and you're always on my mind, and you're always on my mind, and you're always on my mind. But oh, I got a new partner riding with me. I got a new partner now. Now the sun's fading faster, we're ready to go. There's a skirt in the bedroom that's pleasantly low, and the loons on the moor, oh, the fish in the flow. And my friends still will whisper hello. We all know what we know. It's a hard swath to mow. When you think like a hermit, you forget what you know. And you are always on my mind, and you are always on my mind, and you are always on my mind, and you are always on my mind.